What I'd like to do is to just take a couple of minutes, very briefly reviewing the status of the vaccines and vaccine trials that we have, but then to, as I've done in the past, pick out a question that I believe is being asked more frequently to try and preemptively address it and perhaps generate some discussion. With regard to the trials that we have, as you know, the U.S. government had been involved in the development of and/or facilitation of the testing of 3 separate platforms represented by 6 different companies. You're all aware of the data of the Moderna and the Pfizer-BioNTech, which have their EUA now, having shown a 94 to 95% efficacy. Right now, as we speak, the data from the Janssen study, which, as you know, showed a 72% efficacy in the United States, but was also done in South Africa and Latin America, and showed a diminished efficacy against the variant, but very good against severe disease. That is being reviewed at the FDA for the U.S. data. And on February the 26th, the FDA will consult with their independent advisory committee, their VRBPAC, and we should be hearing from them soon. With regard to the AstraZeneca and the Novavax, those trials are both fully enrolled. These are event-driven decisions. So when they reach a certain amount of events, they will then look at the data and make decisions as to whether or not to go ahead with a request for an EUA. So having said that, let me just now very briefly address a question that is a very relevant question that we are now more commonly being asked. If you look at the existing trials, those have already gotten an EUA, and those that we anticipate and hope will get an EUA, when will we be able to say we can vaccinate children? Children in the high school range and children in the elementary school range. You know from Pfizer that they started off with the trial of 44,000 individuals down to 16-year-olds and then progressed it down to 12-year-olds. So what they're going to be doing in April, starting in April, they are going to be studying 12-year-olds down to 5 to 6-year-old. That will take likely 1 year to get the information on that, likely not until the first quarter. However, we anticipate data on high school age individuals, namely individuals 12 years old to 17 years old, by the beginning of the fall. Maybe not exactly coinciding with the first day of school, but sometime in the fall, we will have that. Moderna, as you know, started off with already 18-year-old. They are now currently enrolling 12 to 17-year-olds. So let me take a moment to explain the process of how you get relevant information regarding these younger individuals. This is a representative trial which very likely will reflect other trials. It's a 3,000-person trial. So right off, you're not dealing with the 30,000 and 44,000 person trial that gave the efficacy signal in the original Moderna and Pfizer study. What the trial is the trial is what's called a non-inferiority by immunogenicity, which is a lot of big words to really mean what they're asking. Is it safe in the children? And does it induce an immune response that's comparable or not inferior to the immune response that we know is associated with efficacy in the other trials? And that's the way that trial will go. And then we're starting by the end of March, they will do what's called an age de-escalation study. We're already enrolling on the 12 to 17. They will go to the 6 to 12, then 2 to 6, then 6 months to 2 years. Again, we will likely get information for high schoolers at some time in the fall, but it is, I would say, more than unlikely we will not have data on elementary school children until at least the first quarter of 2022. Similar types of approaches are being taken by the other candidates, the other companies, namely J&J, Novavax, and AZ. So the bottom line of all of this is as follows. It is highly likely that sometime in the fall, we will have data that will give us the capability of saying the safety and comparable efficacy in children 12 to 17, 18 years old. Again, the final decisions we always leave to the FDA. I'm trying to give you a roadmap of what likely will happen. But then also with the studies that I just mentioned, to getting the information to make the decision in elementary school children almost certainly will not be firmed down until the first quarter of 2022.